What's up, YouTube, and welcome to Codename Scream. I am that horror guy, and if you haven't done so already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications for all things horror. I do want to thank Mel from The Secret Lives and Tide Skull for joining me last week for Slashethon, and with that being said, we had a great time doing those episodes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them just as much, and if you haven't checked them out already, go ahead and do so. But welcome to Slashethon. As I did state last week, we are going to, this week, do our round 2 contenders, move ahead a little bit. Leatherface has been chilling for about 3 weeks now, and we're kind of got the anticipation going, who is he going to take on for round 3, which is today's episode. By your guys' votes, we have Jason Voorhees and Ghostface from the Scream franchise up against each other here. Whoever advances from here will take on Leatherface in round 3, and get that much closer to the finals. Yeah, we're almost to the final 4. It's absolutely crazy, and I just appreciate every one of you for having joined in at some point with votes and just sticking along with us every step of the way. For those of you that have been there from the day one, and even if you're here from a minute and a half, I appreciate each and every one of you, and we have something huge planned for the finale with this, so you won't want to miss that. I'm not going to say much more beyond that. But we did, however, discuss both Jason Voorhees and Ghostface in previous episodes with their backstories. I'm not going to sit here and do that again and take away from what everyone's really here for, which are the points. So make sure to go ahead and go back. Definitely take a look at that. Below, I have the links in the description for this video for those. So you can kind of come up to speed and whatnot and help better decide who you would want to win this thing. So, as we've had in previous episodes where I had the 3 show specifics for points and then 3 that carry over, upon going through and looking at old video and just kind of how things have been working out, from now on, we have 4 that carry over from each episode and then only 2 show specifics. So the 4 that we are going to weigh out every episode regardless: most kills, most brutal kills, motive, and survivors. I think that was a pretty big topic that we've noticed here in the last few weeks, and even since the beginning, really. I think it's only fair to make that a thing that we judge moving forward. And then we'll have our 2 show specifics to try and even the balance. Maybe put in someone else's favorite. Who knows? That's what we're going to find out here. First episode trying this out. So, as you guys know, 6 on either side. So let's get right into it. Jason Voorhees that I used was from the final chapter, and the Ghostface that I used was from the 96 original Scream. Those will be the things that we weigh them out on specifically. If for whatever reason being we do have to reach into the rest of the franchise, we will do so. So first point is going to go for most kills. I think we all knew where this was going to go from day one. Jason Voorhees definitely takes this one, and we're taking a point away from Ghostface immediately. In part 4 of the final chapter for Friday the 13th, we have over 13 on-screen kills for Jason Voorhees alone, compared to the technically 6 kills that Billy and Stu have as Ghostface in Scream 1. So that's where we're at with that. We're going to go into most brutal kill. This one actually took a moment to really kind of deep dive and soul search a bit. Like, what would really be kind of gross out of all this? Both had an even shot, I felt, but I'm actually going to take the point away from Jason on this one and give it to Ghostface. Those first 2 kills in the opening scene of Scream, also one of the most iconic scenes in horror of all time, I feel like. Those 2 kills were just absolutely brutal and absolutely disgusting. And those really still stick with me to this day from seeing them the very first time ever. And just the use of the practical effects and whatnot. Nothing against the final chapter and everything that Tom Savini had done there. He is an absolute legend and really gave us, you know, what we know as Friday the 13th and Jason. But you cannot compete with that disembowelment and hanging from a tree. Absolutely brutal, so I'm definitely going to give that one to Billy and Stu specifically, since they are the iteration of Ghostface in Scream 1. Next would go for motive. Both sides, after discussing with a few of you, just kind of looking back and rewatching some of these a little bit closer again, neither side really have a fair, clear motive, I feel like. Jason has been said to be more of a revenge story. He drowned at Crystal Lake and saw his mother get decapitated in Friday the 13th. And so he comes back anytime someone comes to the camp as punishment. Then we have the Ghostface side. We've had multiple people don the mask. It's a revenge against Sydney to some degree. And it all started from Billy wanting to seek out revenge on Sydney's mother for having an affair outside of her marriage with his father, and inevitably causing the separation of his parents. Neither one really have an upper hand here. I think both are kind of just like, for as far as motive side of things. They gave us some, great films, but I'm taking a point from either side. I don't think it's fair on either side. You guys have something to say about that, make sure to comment below and we'll talk a little bit further about that. Next, we're going to move on to the survivors. As we know, we don't do well with the survivors here. That's heavily judged. But in both Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, and Scream, neither one of the killers survive at the end of it. So, with that being said, I am going to take a point again from either side. Because not only did you have survivors, you didn't even make it through your own film. Lame. And obviously, if we want to get technical, later on we have Jason coming back in Part 6, not necessarily Part 5. He was just kind of there in Part 5, and Part 6 is where he truly came back in Jason Lives. But since we're only weighing out those two films, that is where these points are going to come from. So now we're going to move into the two show-specific ones, things that I was trying to wage out against each other to make it a little bit fair, or maybe not. That's where we're sitting right now, points-wise. So, as far as those two films are concerned, not only are they two of some of my favorite films in horror, they also had amazing cameos and cast choices. We're going to take one away from Jason again. Why are we doing this exactly? You mentioned casts. Well, it's like who had the best cameo, really, at the end, in my opinion, and that's where I'm weighing out a point here to balance things out a bit. Ghostface had the Fonz in Scream 1, and we had, Little Feldman, we had Crispin Glover, we had some really great, at the time, not really known actors in Friday the 13th Part 4, aside from Feldman. And later on, some of those actors and actresses did come on to bigger, better things. But you can't beat the Fonz. You just can't. Hey, you're losing a point, Jason. For our final show-specific one, and the thing I appreciate most about the fact that we have you guys decide with votes who moves on is I don't know what to expect. So I really have to dig deep and come up with ideas for these points and how to deduct them and make them fair. Neither Jason nor Ghostface at the end of the day are really comparable. You've got an unstoppable killing force with Jason, and then you've just got whoever decides to throw on the mask and has a beef with Sydney this film. So we, for the first time ever in Slashethon, are actually going to now incorporate their other films to make this a little bit more weighed out. And yes, we had a most kills already, but that was just specific to the films. We're going to go with overall kills for every film that they've ever been in, and then excluding themselves, because inevitably at the end of every film, whomever is wearing the mask dies for Ghostface, and Jason always dies. Then he always comes back in some way. So, drum roll please. Now, Jason Voorhees will keep that point, and we're going to deduct from Ghostface. Jason Voorhees has over 146 on-screen kills across 12 films. Keep in mind, he was not in Part 1, so that's even excluding the Part 1 kills. If you were to actually include the Part 1 kills, there are over 181 different kills in the entirety of Friday the 13th as a franchise. Absolutely killer. No pun intended, maybe so. that's up for you guys. Versus there are only 49 on-screen kills for Ghostface as an entire franchise. That's excluding the television series. The television series I also intentionally excluded in both the first Slashethon that Ghostface appeared in with Danny Rolling, and I'm also going to exclude it here. The first 2 seasons of the Scream television show were just kind of the concept of Scream as a whole. We didn't get Ghostface again until season 3 in 2019. And we're not going to continue with that because right here we're just going off of film, strictly. If you guys have a problem with that, please sound off below. And if not, as you guys know, we are at a tie. It's up to you guys to decide who actually wins this thing. So, sound off in the comments below with either hashtag ScreamJason or hashtag ScreamGhostface. Kind of weird how that hashtag worked, right? But you guys can do that. You can send me a message on Instagram. You can send me a message on Twitter. You can email me. There are multiple avenues to get on that soapbox and tell me who you think should move forward. Keep in mind, whoever does move forward from this episode is advancing to round 3 to take on Leatherface and get that much closer to our final 4. So keep that in mind when you guys do the votes for there. Also, next week we're going to go ahead and give you guys the results from the Michael Myers Ramirez episode. The votes are still pouring in. That's another moment like we had with the Jason Kemper episodes where we had to delay things a week because the amount of votes coming in. Keep that up. That momentum is great and we really appreciate that. It's actually making this a little bit more of a fair balance. And as I stated in last week's Slashethon, the curveball, the thing that no one was expecting for our final first round, it's all final girls. We have Laurie Strode from Halloween, and we have Sydney Prescott from Scream, voted by you guys specifically. So thank you for that as well. And next week, we're going to go ahead and see which final girl could win in that face-off. Whomever advances from that will take on either Michael Myers or Richard Ramirez, depending on how the votes plan out. And you will find that out next Tuesday. So with that being said, scare you later, YouTube.